Sometimes I struggle with the words all the time, actually. Alright guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are Ballroom Feed and we're going to continue on with the waltz and we're going to teach you the change step today. Let's get right in.
Leader's footwork to the change step. So starting with my left foot going forward first, I do a forward half of a box and nothing has changed so far. Now with my right foot, instead of going backwards like I normally do in a box, I'm going to go walk forwards on my right foot from here, go side of my left foot and close the feet together. My left foot is now free and I'm back to the beginning of the dance itself. If I do it from each side here so I have a little more space, you can see me go forward left, side, together, and then going forward on my right foot, side, together. My feet change just like I would do in a box. Forward, side, change, forward, side, change. We're calling this the change step because quite literally every time I do one of these, it changes which foot is free, which gives us access to different versions of box steps and waltz. So it's important to get very comfortable with this and then go forward 1, 2, 3. And I'm back to the beginning again.
All right, ladies, we're gonna learn our footwork for the change step. I'm gonna teach it to the side to start, okay? So we're starting off like our box step, nothing's changed. We're gonna go back right, side, close together. So now instead of going forward on our left foot, we still have our left foot free. We're gonna continue traveling backwards. So we're gonna do another back step and then a side together. We could continue this, but to the lack of space, we're not gonna do that. So let's do it again. We're starting off right foot back, side, close and change your weight. Now we have left foot back, side, close and change your weight. I'll take super small steps this way with you. So go back, side, close, back, side, close. So the same rules apply as your box step, making sure that every time you close your feet, you're switching your weight. You're never gonna tap and use the same foot again. Okay, so this is also the trickiest part of the change step, just like our box step. So it takes a little practice and then it should be pretty easy. So with some timing, let's do that. It's gonna be the same. We go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You should end up with your right foot free to then continue with another change step, box step, or whatever else.
So the change step with timing. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can see this is our first traveling pattern now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Key points to the change step. The biggest thing now is that we're walking through, or I'm walking through her with the other foot now, which doesn't seem so crazy, but if I do this in practice hold, and we do half of this pattern, 1, 2, 3, typically she's walking forward, but she's walking forward to her left foot, which means she's going outside of me because we're left aligned, right? But here, I'm going forward and she's going backwards, and because I'm going forward with my right foot, typically anytime we go forward with our right foot, it's in between my partner's feet, or right towards the center of her body, which is a tougher one to be more confident about. But I have to keep looking to the left and go straight through her, and then we get to go side together from there, maintaining this left alignment the entire time. You can kind of see it one time from here. If we do it really, really small, here we'll go a little closer. So you can see me go 1, 2, 3, and as I go forward, my foot's literally going right in between her feet. If I'm nervous about stepping on her and I go too far outside, I actually will step on her because now I'm on her track. Straight through, side together, and we're still left aligned the entire time. So if I do this one more time here, again, called the change step because every time we do 1, 2, 3, changes which foot is free. 1, 2, 3, changes which foot is free. 6 steps in total makes up the pattern, so you could do boxes and then go in and out of the change step to change feet, but also travel down the floor in its simplest way. Let's say you have way more space than we have right now. You could put these back to back to back to back to keep traveling straight down the floor. If we do it really, really tiny, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and I can repeat it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to continue traveling down the floor. If we were to do a box, the change step, and another box to see how this kind of gets coupled together, we would go box, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, change step, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I could then go back to the box again.
So important thing for when we travel backwards a few more times, more than just one time, even though it's the same type of step, oftentimes what happens is we feel a little uncomfortable traveling or walking backwards just because we don't do it in normal life so much. So oftentimes we'll compensate and kind of lean forward like this with the top half of our body, but then that puts a lot of weight on him and kind of messes up our dance position together. It's hard to follow and lead that way. So make sure that I'm still standing straight up and I'm not gonna go lean forward as I take my step back. That also goes for the actual opposite. So sometimes if we have this falling feeling, then we literally can fall backwards, and now this takes him with me. Potentially we could have a problem on our hands, which we don't want. So we don't want to go forward when we go back, and we don't want to lead with the top half and going back like this, okay? So even though we're taking a step back, we want to keep our spine exactly in the center. So this comes with a little practice because, again, in real life, we don't walk backwards so much. So we want to get comfortable stepping backwards. You can even practice in a practice position with your partner, just walking backwards and forwards together. And that goes for leaders too, even though they don't have as many back steps as we do, it's okay. But just a good exercise to practice and get comfortable with that while keeping the spine nice and tall.
If you're trying now to lead the difference between the box and this change step and rotating a box and starting to travel around the floor, let me give you a few tips here. So if you're comfortable with a rotating box, then this is for you. Then if I go and rotate my first step, she knows I'm going to continue with a box step. If I now take my first step and I go straight forward without rotating, it indicates that I'm going to keep traveling and continue with the change step down the floor. So from the very beginning, my two options are go straight down the floor, or in a very casual sense, it's start to already rotate a little bit. So if I want to make this new plan for the both of us, or at least in my head subconsciously, if I start to rotate, it means I'm going to continue with a box step. If I keep rotating, I'll keep doing box steps. If we reset again, if I go straight with no rotation, it means I'm going to continue going straight and travel down the floor. This isn't so much of a plan between the two of us that I want her to consciously think about if I'm going back and curving, I'm rotating or not. It's more about my job as a leader is to control her momentum. When I rotate subconsciously, she will take this side step and feel much more comfortable going forward than she would going backwards. If I travel in a straight line, momentum-wise, she would actually rather go backwards than change and come forwards again. So me rotating or not and going straight controls her momentum a little bit, and it kind of makes it easier for me to determine which one I want to do. The most important thing, though, is confidence in each direction. The most important thing, B, is that I'm clear and consistent about my timing. So let's talk about direction first. If I go forward side together and I continue moving my body forward, energy travels in that direction, she feels it, and the lead is very, very clear. If I go forward, I close my feet and I push and go backwards, you can see the energy in my direction, the direction of my energy is very, very clear. If I have a moment of hesitation, if I go forward side together and I kind of pause for a minute, she's expecting me to move right away. So if I freeze, she kind of freezes too, and we're probably gonna have a moment of stepping on one another, or she's going to feel like she has to guess because she didn't get a strong indication from you. I still close my feet all the way together, but immediately I have to move in the direction that I want to go in. The next piece is this timing piece. If we do a box, we're very consistent. I mean, of course we're dancing to music, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I continue, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can even do things we haven't talked about yet. And as long as I'm incredibly consistent with my timing, she feels very, very clear leads. The moment I hesitate, because if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, she's a great follower. The most important thing, as we now have seen, consistency in my direction of energy, consistency in timing, and any small little hesitation is going to kind of throw both of us off. The best part about Waltz is how consistent the timing is. And as long as we both keep closing our feet all the way together and changing which foot we use, we should be set up for success.
So something that you should know, if that wasn't super clear while we were teaching it, is the change steps don't curve. So if we start curving it, like he said, it's gonna be a box step or a new type of step. So the reason why we decided that we should rotate to kind of exit the change steps is because change steps don't rotate at all. So it's just not comfortable if that's confusing to you. So In that case, I don't need to concentrate on whether he's curving me or not. I just know once we curve, the change step has ended and now we're entering a new step, such as the box step. So if that wasn't clear before, now we know.
You can see how awkward, not this isn't
It's
possible, but it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's better ways to do it.
In terms of her momentum and whatnot, you guys can try it together, but trying to curve these change steps feels really weird for her to go backwards because now we're going the wrong direction.
Also, that gives you more. I've seen people do that naturally, just trying it out, and they'll step on each other way more doing this than if you just did a box step to rotate or another kind of step.
Yeah.
So that's much more comfortable.
If I want to dance around a room with what we have so far, just a box, a rotating box, and this change step to travel, I can make a big square. So what I mean by this, if we make this incredibly small, if I'm doing this box and I want to head that way down the floor, I have to do a rotating box. If I want to travel now, I will do the change steps, as many as I can to make it down the floor. And then I'm going to go back to a rotating box again to face my new direction. And I could go travel again to get down the floor. And then I do another rotating box to now travel in this direction on our incredibly small dance floor. But you kind of get the picture of how in each corner of the box, I do rotating boxes to now go down the new side of the floor, going around the floor to the left like a racetrack.
So one more tip for you is the only difference between a box step and a change step besides your direction is the foot you use. What I mean is the right foot for the ladies is going to stay the same in terms of direction, right? I'm always going to be going back on my right foot so far, and he's always going to be going forward on his left foot, so the change happens with the right foot for the gentlemen, left foot for the ladies. So that's something to be aware of, gentlemen, when you're making decisions when you're leading. If you have a bigger space, of course, if there's a wall or a person, you're probably not going to want to do a change step going forward, so you might change direction without curving it with a change step because that's the only option you had at the moment, or that was the only thing that you thought of at the time, which is fine. But we just need to be clear with the direction and the lead and know that that happens with the leader's right foot and then the follower's left foot.
Also want to make a small note that I can do box steps that aren't rotating. So I can still do boxes that don't rotate at all. So it's very important for the follower to never assume you're going to rotate a box and take a curving step or something, because then I definitely will step on you. If I'm coming to the end of the floor where she thinks I should be doing a rotating box, but instead I wasn't that quick and I want to do a straight box, that's totally fine. But if she assumes and she starts to curve her foot and I go forward, she's on my track now and I'll run her over or step on her. So in her case, she's, as the follower, is always assuming she's going to go straight back. And if there's a curve, she'll then feel it, but she never wants to curve herself at all.
When we have a bigger space available to us, we're gonna do some videos where we kind of dance in a bigger space and you could see different options of how to combine these waltz patterns. For now, we're gonna do a version of these steps together in a small space, so it's perfect for dancing in your kitchen like we are now, or just in a smaller space when you're dancing out, socially somewhere, eventually. So with that being said, we will show you now to music. Alright guys, thanks for sticking to the end of the video. I hope you like this waltz pattern. Be sure to check out the rest of our waltz patterns up for you here. I'll put a link down below. And if you want to learn more stuff like this, but a little more advanced and exciting, be sure to check out our Ballroom Pro section with more waltz stuff for you. And be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye.